The manila envelope hit Marcus Webb's desk with a sound that seemed to echo through the entire courthouse hallway. Inside were photographs, clear, undeniable, time-stamped. His fiancée Diana and his law partner, both of them, in compromising positions that shattered 3 years of his life into fragments. Marcus stood frozen in the empty corridor, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, his hands trembling as image after image confirmed what his gut had been whispering for months. The wedding invitations had been mailed yesterday. 200 guests. A vineyard ceremony in Napa. His mother had already bought her dress. The photographer clicked another frame somewhere in his memory, and Marcus realized with brutal clarity that he'd been living in a carefully constructed lie. Someone coughed behind him. He turned to see a court reporter he'd never noticed before, a woman with kind eyes and a messenger bag slung over her shoulder, watching him with unmistakable recognition of heartbreak. She didn't say anything, just offered a small, knowing nod that somehow made the devastation feel less lonely. Marcus looked back at the photographs, then at the woman, then at the marriage license office door just 20 feet away. And in that moment, standing in a courthouse hallway with evidence of betrayal in his hands, Marcus Webb made the most reckless decision of his entire careful, calculated life. Marcus had always prided himself on being methodical. Harvard Law, partner track at 32, a fiancée who looked perfect on paper. Diana Castellano was everything his colleagues envied. Beautiful, ambitious, connected to the right families. Their relationship had been strategic from the start. Though he convinced himself strategy and love weren't mutually exclusive, the envelope had arrived via courier that morning, unmarked except for his name. No return address. Inside, a note. Thought you should know before you make a permanent mistake. The photographs were recent, taken over the past 6 weeks. Diana and Robert Chun, his law partner, the man who'd stood beside Marcus through countless trials, the man who'd agreed to be his best man. Marcus had left the office without explanation, driven to the courthouse where he had a hearing scheduled, and stood in the hallway trying to process reality. His phone buzzed repeatedly. Diana probably wondering why he'd left so abruptly. He ignored it. The court reporter was still there, pretending to organize papers, but clearly aware of his distress. She was younger than him, maybe 28, with dark hair pulled into a practical ponytail and eyes that suggested she'd seen her share of courthouse drama. "I'm sorry," she said finally, her voice low enough that only he could hear. "I don't mean to intrude, but you look like someone just pulled the ground out from under you." Marcus let out a bitter laugh. "That obvious. I work in family court. I recognize the particular expression." She glanced at the envelope in his hands. Bad news? Catastrophic news. He didn't know why he was talking to a stranger, but something about her directness felt safe. "I'm supposed to get married in 4 weeks. Just found out my fiancée's been sleeping with my business partner." The woman winced. "That's brutal." "I'm sorry. The invitations went out yesterday. My mother's been planning this for months. Everyone I know is expecting a wedding." Marcus ran a hand through his hair. "And I'm standing here in a courthouse hallway, wondering how I explain to 200 people that the bride's been cheating. You don't owe anyone explanations." Her tone was firm. "You owe yourself honesty." Marcus studied her. "You always this direct with strangers?" "Only when they look like they need it." She extended her hand. "Vanessa Price, Marcus Webb." He shook it, noting the strength in her grip. "Attorney?" She guessed. "That obvious too?" The suit. The defeated posture. The existential crisis happening at 9:30 in the morning. Vanessa smiled slightly. "Plus, I've seen you around. You do good work in there." She nodded toward the courtroom. His phone buzzed again. Diana. Then Robert. Then Diana again. Marcus silenced it completely. What are you going to do? Vanessa asked. I have absolutely no idea. Marcus looked at the marriage license office again, that ridiculous impulse still flickering. Part of me wants to walk away cleanly, the rational part. But another part wants to do something so unexpected, so completely out of character, that everyone who thought they knew me realizes they didn't. What would that look like? Marcus met her eyes. Something reckless. Something that proves I don't need Diana or Robert or any of the carefully constructed life I thought I was building. Vanessa was quiet for a moment, then said something that would change everything. You know, the marriage license office is right there. If you really wanted to prove a point. He stared at her. Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting? I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just observing that sometimes the most powerful response to betrayal is moving forward without looking back. Marcus couldn't believe he was actually considering this. You don't even know me. I know you've been wronged. I know you're looking for a way to reclaim your narrative. Vanessa shrugged. And I know what it's like to waste time on people who don't deserve it. That sounds personal. Divorced at 26. Ex-husband decided our marriage was limiting his potential. Her expression hardened briefly. Turns out his potential included sleeping with half the administrative staff at his firm. I'm sorry. Don't be. Best thing that ever happened to me, eventually. Vanessa checked her watch. Look, I have to file some documents before my next session. But if you want to do something crazy, something that makes a statement, I'm weirdly available. Marcus laughed, a real laugh that felt foreign after the morning's devastation. This is insane. Completely insane. But you look like someone who's been playing it safe for too long. And where did that get you? His phone buzzed. A text from Diana. Where are you? We need to talk about the caterer. The audacity of her normalcy, pretending nothing was wrong, made his decision easier. What would you want out of this? Marcus asked carefully. If we actually did something this ridiculous? Vanessa considered the question. Honestly, my ex has been making my life difficult. Contesting the divorce settlement, dragging things out, making sure I can't move on. If I were suddenly remarried, it might encourage him to finally sign the papers and disappear. So we'd both benefit. We'd both benefit. 6 months, maybe a year. Clean arrangement, clear exit strategy. You get to show your cheating fiancé that you moved on instantly, and I get to close a chapter that should have ended 2 years ago. Marcus looked at the photographs again, then at Vanessa. She was serious. Completely serious. And something about her unflinching honesty made this insane idea feel almost reasonable. We'd need terms, he said, his lawyer brain engaging despite the chaos. A contract. Clear boundaries. Absolutely. I'm not looking for romance or complications. Just a mutually beneficial arrangement. Separate lives? Separate everything. Except on paper and when necessary for appearances. Marcus took a deep breath. This violated every principle of careful planning he'd lived by. But careful planning had led him to Diana, to Robert, to 3 years of elaborate lies. Maybe reckless was exactly what he needed. Let's do it, he heard himself say. Vanessa's eyes widened slightly. You're sure? Not even a little bit. But I'm doing it anyway. They walked to the marriage license office together. 2 strangers about to become legally bound for all the wrong reasons. The clerk looked up as they entered, her expression shifting to practice bureaucratic indifference. We need a marriage license, Marcus said. The clerk slid forms across the counter. Fill these out. Both of you. ID required. Fee is $70. Marcus pulled out his wallet, hands steadier now that he'd committed to this madness. Beside him, Vanessa filled out her form with the efficiency of someone who'd done this before. He caught her eye, and she gave him a small smile that felt like solidarity. His phone buzzed again. Diana, calling now. He declined it and turned the phone face down. No second thoughts? Vanessa whispered. Thousands of second thoughts. But I'm not stopping. They submitted their forms. The clerk reviewed them, typed information into her computer, and said, "There's typically a 72-hour waiting period unless you have an exemption." Marcus hadn't considered that. 3 days felt like too long, too much time to second-guess. "We need a waiver," Vanessa said smoothly. "Time-sensitive circumstances." The clerk looked skeptical. What kind of circumstances? Marcus's mind raced for a plausible excuse when Vanessa said, "Medical situation. Family member is dying. We want them to see us married before they pass." It was close enough to truth. Diana had been dying to plan this wedding, and Marcus was killing that version of his life. The clerk softened slightly. "You'll need to speak with Judge Morrison. 4th floor, room 418. He handles waiver requests." They took the elevator up, neither speaking. The weight of what they were doing pressed down like physical force. In Judge Morrison's waiting area, Marcus finally broke the silence. "We're actually doing this. We're actually doing this," Vanessa confirmed. "Still in?" "Still in? You?" Surprisingly, yes. Judge Morrison was a stern-looking man in his 60s with silver hair and reading glasses perched on his nose. His chambers smelled like old books and coffee. He gestured for them to sit across from his imposing desk. "Mr. Webb, Miss Price, you're requesting a waiver for the mandatory waiting period." He reviewed their application. "Medical emergency involving a dying family member." "Yes, Your Honor," Vanessa said. "We want to be married before the situation becomes more critical." The judge studied them both carefully. "How long have you two known each other?" Marcus's mind went blank. They should have coordinated their story better. 6 months, he said, picking a time frame that felt believable. 8 months, Vanessa said simultaneously. Judge Morrison raised an eyebrow. "Which is it?" 8 months since we met, Marcus recovered. 6 months since we started dating seriously. I was being conservative with the timeline. The judge didn't look convinced. And why the rush to marry? Beyond the family situation? Vanessa reached over and took Marcus's hand. The gesture looked natural, practiced, though they'd never touched before. Sometimes you just know. And when you know, waiting feels pointless. "I've been on the bench for 30 years, Judge Morrison said. "I've seen every variation of we just know. Some work out. Most don't." He looked at Marcus directly. "You're an attorney, Mr. Webb." "Yes, Your Honor." "Then you understand the legal weight of marriage. The complications of divorce if this doesn't work out." "I do, Your Honor. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't certain." The judge turned to Vanessa. "And you're a court reporter?" "Yes, Your Honor. I work primarily in family court, actually. I've seen plenty of marriages fall apart. I know what I'm getting into. That makes this either very wise or very foolish." Judge Morrison sat back in his chair. "I'm going to grant your waiver, but I want you both to understand something. Marriage isn't a game. It's not a reaction to other life circumstances. It's a commitment that requires work, honesty, and genuine partnership. If you're doing this for the wrong reasons, you'll regret it." Marcus felt the weight of those words, knowing their entire premise was exactly what the judge was warning against. But he kept his expression neutral. "We understand, Your Honor," Vanessa said. Judge Morrison signed the waiver. "Good luck to you both. You're going to need it." Back in the hallway, Marcus exhaled shakily. "That was close, but we got it." Vanessa held up the signed waiver. "Now we just need someone to perform the ceremony." His phone rang again. This time, it was his mother. Marcus silenced it. He'd have to tell her eventually, but not now. Not in the middle of this surreal moment. They returned to the 3rd floor, license approved, waiver granted. The clerk directed them to an efficient who worked in the building AA, retired judge who performed quick ceremonies for a fee. Judge Patricia. Hernandez met them in a small chapel-like room the courthouse maintained for exactly this purpose. She was warm, grandmotherly, completely unlike Judge Morrison's skepticism. "Marriage is a beautiful thing," she said, arranging them to face each other. "No matter how you get here, what matters is the commitment you make to each other moving forward." Marcus looked at Vanessa. In different circumstances, this would be romantic, two people choosing each other, building a life. Instead, it was strategic, transactional, a legal maneuver disguised as matrimony. But when Judge Hernandez asked if he took Vanessa to be his lawfully wedded wife, Marcus said, "I do," with surprising conviction. And when Vanessa said, "I do" in return, something in her eyes suggested she felt it too, this strange, unexpected solidarity. "By the power vested in me by the state of California, I now pronounce you husband and wife." They kissed briefly, awkwardly, sealing an arrangement that made absolutely no sense and somehow felt exactly right. Walking out of the courthouse as a married couple, Marcus checked his phone. 43 missed calls. 67 text messages. Diana had escalated from confused to angry to panicked. "When are you telling her?" Vanessa asked. "Now feels appropriate." He typed a single message. "Wedding's off. Found out about you and Robert. Don't contact me again." Then he blocked her number, blocked Robert's number, and turned to his new wife. "What now? Now? We figure out how to actually live this arrangement we just created." They sat in a coffee shop across from the courthouse, newly married strangers trying to navigate reality. Vanessa ordered black coffee. Marcus got the same, too overwhelmed to think about preferences. "We need ground rules," Vanessa said, pulling out a notepad. "Ever practical. Living arrangements, finances, how we handle this publicly." "I have an apartment downtown," Marcus offered. 2 bedrooms. "You're welcome to move in, or we can maintain separate residences." Separate looks suspicious if anyone investigates. "We should probably cohabitate, at least initially." Marcus nodded. "My place then. I'll take the 2nd bedroom." "I can't ask you to give up your own bedroom." "It's fine. The 2nd bedroom is actually larger anyway." It wasn't, but the gesture felt important. Vanessa made notes. "Finances. I assume you don't need money from me?" "I'm comfortable. You?" "I work steady hours, support myself." "I'm not looking for financial support." "Good. We keep everything separate. No joint accounts unless absolutely necessary for appearance." "Agreed." Vanessa clicked her pen. "Duration. You mentioned 6 months to a year?" "Let's say 1 year. Gives us both time to achieve our objectives. You can finalize your divorce. I can demonstrate I've moved on. Then we file for quiet annulment or divorce, part as friends." 1 year, Vanessa repeated, writing it down. "And if either of us meets someone, wants to pursue an actual relationship?" Marcus hadn't considered that possibility. "Then we communicate honestly and adjust accordingly. No one gets trapped." "Perfect." Vanessa looked up. "What about your family? Your friends?" "They're going to have questions. My mother will be furious. My colleagues will be shocked. Diana's family will probably hate me." Marcus sipped his coffee. "But that's my problem to manage, not yours. We're married now. Your problems are technically my problems too, at least for the next year." The word married still felt unreal. Marcus looked at the simple silver band on his finger. They grabbed rings from a discount jewelry store on the way to coffee. Basic metal circles that served the legal requirement without pretending to be more. His phone buzzed. An unknown number. He answered, suspicious. "Marcus, it's Diana. Don't hang up." He almost did anyway. How did you get this number? I called the office. Listen, we need to talk. Whatever you think you know, I know everything. Diana, I have photographs, timestamps, evidence. Don't insult me by pretending otherwise. It was a mistake. A terrible mistake. Robert and we got caught up in stress and 6 weeks of mistakes. That's not stress, Diana. That's a choice you made repeatedly. Vanessa watched him, silent support in her expression. Please, Diana's voice cracked. We can work through this. Couples therapy, counseling. The wedding doesn't have to be canceled. The wedding is absolutely canceled. I sent cancellation notices to the venue this morning. He hadn't, but he would. And I'm married to someone else now. Silence. Then, what? I got married today. To someone who actually respects me. So consider this your official notice. We're done. Completely done. Marcus, you're being irrational. You can't just marry someone out of spite. Watch me. He hung up, blocked the number. Vanessa raised her eyebrows. That felt good, didn't it? More than it should have. Good. She deserves to feel exactly as blindsided as she made you feel. They spent the next hour coordinating logistics. Vanessa would move into Marcus's apartment that weekend. They'd tell people they'd been dating quietly for months and decided to elope to avoid Diana's drama. Simple story, hard to disprove. One more thing, Marcus said as they prepared to leave. Why did you really agree to this? Beyond your ex-husband's situation. Vanessa considered the question carefully. Honestly, because you look like someone who needed saving. And maybe I did too. We're both coming out of situations where people made us feel small, forgettable. This feels like reclaiming agency. Reclaiming agency through a fake marriage. Through an honest partnership with clear terms. That's more authentic than most real marriages I see in court. Marcus couldn't argue with that logic. Moving day arrived with autumn rain pounding against windows. Vanessa showed up with surprisingly few belongings. 2 suitcases, 3 boxes, a lamp. Marcus helped carry everything upstairs, noting how little space she occupied despite technically becoming a permanent resident. This is everything? He asked. My ex kept most of our furniture in the divorce. Claimed he'd paid for it, which was technically true, even though I decorated and maintained it all. Vanessa shrugged. Fresh start felt appropriate anyway. Marcus's apartment was modern, minimalist. Exactly what you'd expect from a successful attorney with no time for personal touches. Vanessa immediately made the second bedroom feel more lived in. Hanging a few framed photographs, arranging books on the shelf. Adding warmth Marcus hadn't realized was missing. His mother called that evening. Marcus had been avoiding her, but delay would only make things worse. Marcus Anthony Webb, what is this I hear about you canceling the wedding? Hi, Mom. Don't hi, Mom me. Diana's mother called in hysterics. Something about you getting married to someone else? Please tell me that's a misunderstanding. Marcus glanced at Vanessa, who was tactfully giving him privacy by staying in her room. It's not a misunderstanding. Diana cheated on me. I ended things and married someone else. Married someone, Marcus. You can't just marry someone else. I did. Yesterday, actually. Her name is Vanessa. She's a court reporter. His mother was silent for several seconds. You've lost your mind. Possibly. But I'm happier than I've been in months. How long have you known this woman? He stuck to their agreed story. 8 months. We kept it quiet because of Diana. But after everything came out, we decided not to wait. 8 months and you never mentioned her? Not once? Would you have listened if I had? You loved Diana. You were planning the wedding with her mother, coordinating everything. I didn't want to complicate things. More silence. Then, softer. Did she really cheat? With Robert. My business partner. For 6 weeks minimum, possibly longer. Oh, sweetheart, I'm so sorry. The genuine compassion in his mother's voice nearly undid him. Thanks, Mom. I want to meet her. This Vanessa. If you married her, she must be extraordinary. Marcus looked toward Vanessa's closed door. She is. Different from Diana, but in good ways. Bring her to Sunday dinner. I'll make my famous lasagna. After hanging up, Marcus knocked on Vanessa's door. She opened it, looking concerned. Everything okay? My mother wants to meet you. Sunday dinner. Vanessa's eyes widened. Already? She's persistent. If you're not comfortable, no, it's fine. We knew we'd have to sell this to people eventually. Vanessa smiled slightly. Guess we better make sure our story's airtight. They spent the next hour rehearsing details. How they met, courthouse hallway. She helped him find a file. First date, quiet Italian restaurant. Why they kept it secret. Diana's presence complicated things. The lies felt uncomfortable but necessary. You're good at this, Marcus observed. The storytelling. Years of court reporting. You learn to read people, understand what makes a narrative believable. Vanessa paused. Are you okay? With all of this? Honestly, I should be panicking. Instead, I feel weirdly calm. Like I finally did something for myself, instead of everyone else's expectations. I know that feeling. Sunday dinner arrived too quickly. Marcus's mother, Patricia Webb, was exactly as intimidating as he'd warned. She met them at the door with appraising eyes that missed nothing. So you're Vanessa. Mrs. Webb, it's wonderful to meet you. Vanessa shook her hand with confident warmth. Call me Patricia. Come in, both of you. The apartment smelled incredible homemade lasagna, garlic bread, everything Patricia had promised. Over dinner, she interrogated Vanessa with surgical precision. What made you fall for my son? Vanessa didn't hesitate. His integrity. First time I saw him, he was defending a client pro bono. Elderly woman being evicted. He spent hours on her case, won it, charged her nothing. That showed me who he really was. It was a good answer, both believable and flattering. Marcus hadn't known she'd researched his case history. And you didn't mind keeping the relationship secret? I understood the situation. Diana was still in the picture. Plans were already in motion. I didn't want to be the cause of drama. Vanessa met Patricia's eyes. But when Marcus discovered her betrayal, I wasn't going to let him go through that alone. Patricia softened visibly. You seem like a good woman, Vanessa. Smart, grounded, very different from Diana. I'll take that as a compliment. It is. Patricia turned to Marcus. I like her. Don't screw this up. After dinner, helping with dishes, Patricia pulled Marcus aside. She's good for you. I can see it already. You look lighter. I feel lighter. Diana always made you perform. Be the perfect attorney, the perfect son-in-law, the perfect future husband. Vanessa looks at you like you're already enough. Marcus glanced into the living room where Vanessa was examining family photos on the mantel, genuinely interested. His mother was right. Vanessa didn't demand performance. She accepted him as is. Thanks, Mom, for understanding. I'm your mother. Understanding you is my job. Driving home, Vanessa exhaled dramatically. Your mother is terrifying, but she likes you. Thank God. I was prepared for much worse. Vanessa laughed. Did I sell it well enough? You were perfect. Almost too perfect. Where did you learn about my pro bono case? Public records. I did my research. If we're going to convince people this is real, details matter. Marcus appreciated her thoroughness. Thank you for this. I know it's not your job to impress my family. Actually, it kind of is. We made a deal. I honor my commitments. 3 months into their arrangement, Marcus realized something had shifted. It started small. Vanessa leaving notes about low coffee supplies. Marcus picking up her favorite tea without being asked. Both of them falling into a rhythm that felt less like cohabitation and more like actual partnership. They'd maintained strict boundaries. Separate bedrooms, separate lives. But increasingly, they ended their days on the couch together, discussing work, current events, nothing and everything. Vanessa would curl up on one end with a book while Marcus reviewed case files on the other. Comfortable silence filled the space between them. "I finalized my divorce today," Vanessa mentioned casually one evening. Marcus looked up from his laptop. "That's good news." "Yeah, David finally signed everything. He'll be out of my life completely now." She didn't sound celebratory, just relieved. "How do you feel?" "Free. Like I can finally move forward instead of being tethered to past mistakes." "I know that feeling." Marcus had spent the past months untangling professional relationships with Robert, eventually forcing him out of the firm. The process had been ugly, but necessary. Vanessa closed her book. "Can I ask you something personal?" "Sure. Do you regret it? Marrying me instead of handling Diana's betrayal differently?" Marcus considered the question honestly. "No. Marrying you gave me agency when I felt powerless. It proved to Diana, to Robert, to everyone that I didn't need them. More importantly, it proved it to myself. Even though it's temporary? Even though." He paused. "Do you regret it?" "No. This has been surprisingly ... Vanessa searched for the right word. "Nice. Easy. You're a good roommate/husband." High praise. They smiled at each other, and Marcus noticed details he'd been too stressed to see before. The way Vanessa's eyes crinkled when she laughed. How she unconsciously tucked hair behind her ear when concentrating. The quiet strength in everything she did. His phone rang. Unknown number. Against his better judgment, he answered. "Marcus, it's Diana. Please don't hang up." He should have. Instead, curiosity kept him on the line. "What do you want?" "I miss you. This whole thing with Robert was a terrible mistake, and I've spent months realizing what I lost." "Can we talk?" "Just coffee, nothing more." Vanessa watched him carefully. "There's nothing to talk about, Diana. I've moved on." "With your rebound wife?" "Marcus, be honest. You married her out of spite." "That's not real." "It's more real than anything we had. Vanessa respects me, supports me, doesn't lie to me with my business partner. I made one mistake, 6 weeks of mistakes." "Goodbye, Diana." He hung up, blocked the number again. "She's still trying?" Vanessa asked. "Apparently. Claims she misses me. She misses having someone she could control." Vanessa's voice was sharp. "That's not the same thing as missing you." Marcus appreciated her protectiveness. "You're right. Of course I'm right. I see it in court constantly. People who confuse ownership with love." They returned to their respective activities, but Marcus couldn't focus. He kept watching Vanessa, wondering when she'd stop being a stranger and started feeling like someone essential. The shift happened gradually. Then all at once, Marcus started finding excuses to work from home more often, claiming he could focus better, when really he just enjoyed Vanessa's company. She started timing her lunch breaks to match his, bringing sandwiches they'd share while discussing cases and transcripts. One evening, cooking dinner together, something they'd started doing without really discussing why, Vanessa's hand brushed against his, reaching for the same knife. The contact lasted seconds, but electricity sparked. "Sorry," she said, pulling back. "Don't be." They stood in the kitchen, ingredients forgotten, looking at each other with new awareness. "We should probably talk about this," Vanessa said quietly. "About what?" "About the fact that this stopped feeling fake somewhere along the way." Marcus's heart raced. "When did it stop feeling fake for you?" "I don't know. Maybe when you brought me tea without asking." Maybe when you stood up to Diana for the third time. Maybe when I realized I looked forward to coming home because you'd be here. Vanessa met his eyes. When did it stop for you? When my mother said you looked at me like I was already enough. Nobody's ever looked at me that way before. What are we doing, Marcus? I have no idea, but I don't want to stop doing it. Vanessa laughed nervously. This wasn't the plan. We had clear terms. 1 year, then divorce. Plans change. We're attorneys and court reporters. We know better than anyone that life rarely follows the original contract. Are you saying you want to make this real? Actually real? Marcus stepped closer. I'm saying I've fallen for my fake wife, and I'm hoping she's fallen for me too. I have. God help me, I really have. They kissed, and this time it wasn't perfunctory or for show. It was real, building on months of partnership, respect, genuine affection. When they pulled apart, both breathless, Vanessa smiled. This is insane. We've established that insanity is our specialty. They spent the evening talking honestly about feelings, fears, what came next. The arrangement had an expiration date, but neither wanted to honor it anymore. We should probably tell people, Marcus said, that this is real now. Your mother will be insufferable. She claimed she knew all along. She probably did. She's annoyingly perceptive. Vanessa curled against him on the couch, fitting perfectly under his arm. I was so scared of getting hurt again after David. Trusting someone felt impossible. But you made it easy. You made me believe I deserved better than Diana. Better than someone who made me feel small. You are better. You always were. The next morning, Marcus woke to find Vanessa already gone. A note on the coffee maker had early session. Made extra coffee. Love you. Love you. The words hit him like physical force. They'd crossed from partnership into something neither had planned but both desperately needed. At work, he found himself smiling randomly. His paralegal noticed. You seem happy. I'm happy. Marriage suits you. It really does. That afternoon, Diana showed up at his office. Security called, asking if he wanted them to remove her. Marcus considered it, then decided to face this directly. She looked different, thinner, tired. Thank you for seeing me. You have 5 minutes. Diana sat across from his desk, hands folded. I've been in therapy, processing everything. My therapist says I sabotaged our relationship because I was afraid of actual intimacy. That's fascinating. Still doesn't change what you did. I know. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking for closure. To apologize genuinely, not because I want you back, but because you deserve better than what I gave you. Marcus studied her. She seemed sincere, though with Diana, performance had always come easily. Okay, I accept your apology. That's it? What else do you want? I've moved on. I'm happy. You should do the same. Are you really happy? With her? Happier than I've ever been. Vanessa sees me. Actually sees me, not the version she wants me to be. Diana nodded slowly. I hope that's true. I hope she's better for you than I was. After she left, Marcus texted Vanessa. Diana came by to apologize. It was surprisingly genuine. Response came immediately. How do you feel? Grateful she's my past and you're my present. Smooth talker. See you tonight. 1 year after their courthouse wedding, Marcus and Vanessa stood in the same chapel where Judge Hernandez had married them. But this time, they weren't strangers making a strategic arrangement. They were partners who'd found love in the most unexpected place. I can't believe you're renewing vows, Patricia said, dabbing her eyes. You just got married. We're making it real, Mom. It was always real. You two just needed time to realize it. Judge Hernandez presided again, delighted to see them return. I had a feeling about you two. Sometimes the strangest circumstances lead to the strongest foundations. This time, they'd written their own vows. Marcus went first. Vanessa, I married you out of desperation and anger. But I fell in love with you through kindness, patience, and genuine partnership. You taught me that strength isn't about control. It's about choosing someone who makes you better. I choose you. Every day, I choose you. Vanessa's voice was steady. Marcus, you gave me safety when I'd forgotten what that felt like. You showed me that marriage could be respectful, supportive, built on honesty instead of performance. What started as convenience became the most real relationship I've ever had. I choose you too, always. They exchanged new rings, not cheap silver bands, but carefully selected pieces that reflected their actual commitment. At the small reception, surrounded by family and close friends, Marcus's colleague approached. I have to ask, did you really marry her the day you found out about Diana? I did. That's either the craziest thing I've ever heard or the smartest. I can't decide which. Both. Definitely both. Vanessa joined them, fitting naturally under Marcus's arm. What are we discussing? How insane your origin story is. Oh, completely insane. But it worked out. Later, dancing slowly while rain drummed against windows, an echo of that first day, Vanessa whispered, "No regrets?" "Not even one, you?" "Just one," Marcus pulled back, concerned. "What?" "That I didn't kiss you in that courthouse hallway the day we met. We wasted a few months pretending this was temporary. We needed those months to build trust, to become actual partners before becoming actual spouses. Always the attorney, making everything logical. Someone has to balance your chaos. My chaos is why you love me." "True." He kissed her forehead. "Your chaos and about 1,000 other things." They swayed together, surrounded by people who'd initially questioned their impulsive decision, but now celebrated their genuine happiness. Marcus thought about that morning 1 year ago, devastated, holding evidence of betrayal, making the most reckless decision of his life. Marrying a stranger had been insane. But that stranger had become his partner, his best friend, his actual wife. She'd helped him rediscover himself after Diana had convinced him to be someone smaller, more manageable. "What are you thinking about?" Vanessa asked. "About how catching Diana cheating was the worst day of my life. And also the best thing that ever happened to me. Because it led you here? Because it led me to you. To us. To understanding that sometimes the most ridiculous decisions are actually the bravest ones." Vanessa smiled, that brilliant smile that had become his favorite thing. "We should write a book. How to build a marriage. Start with fake commitment, add honest partnership, stir in unexpected love." Terrible title. Accurate summary. Around them, their chosen family celebrated. Patricia chatted with Vanessa's parents, already planning holidays together. Marcus's colleagues debated the finer points of contract law. Judge Hernandez shared stories with other courthouse regulars who'd come to support them. This wasn't the wedding Marcus had planned. It was better authentic instead of performative, built on truth instead of expectations. Standing in that courthouse chapel, holding the woman who'd been a stranger and became everything, Marcus understood something fundamental. Sometimes you have to risk looking foolish to find something genuine. Sometimes the best relationships start with the worst reasons. And sometimes marrying a stranger in a courthouse hallway is exactly the right kind of crazy. "I love you," he said simply. "I love you too," Vanessa replied. "My wonderfully impulsive, accidentally perfect husband." They kissed while rain continued falling, while family cheered, while life continued moving forward in its beautifully unpredictable way. And Marcus Webb, who'd spent his entire life being careful and calculated, was grateful he'd finally learned the value of strategic recklessness, because it had given him everything he never knew he needed.